I'm a huge fan of the lack of polio that's been going on globally
Actually,
in the
it's
past
back a
50
little
years,
bit.
we'll say. Well, it's back a little bit, but like still less than it ever was at its peak. Well, we're bringing it back because we're bringing back like traditional values, like dying from the flu and
Right.
measles.
I'm 100% honest. I don't even know what measles is really.
No, like I don't. If I had it, I would have no idea. I think is it like a
I think you
for
get
some
like
reason when I
some
think of
bumps and
measles,
stuff, and it's
yeah,
like red
I always
and
think of
bad.
like chicken pox.
Yeah,
But
there's
obviously that's like a
difference.
different thing. Because then why wouldn't they just be called the same thing
Did you ever get pink eye as a kid?
all the time? Yeah.
All the time?
Well, okay, so maybe
feel
I guess I shouldn't say it
once
like
is
that.
like normal, but all the time is interesting.
I often wouldn't know if I had it or not because I have really awful seasonal allergies. So my eyes would just get pink and itchy anyway.
Oh, I guess
But when
so,
it wasn't
yeah.
the springtime, I guess it was probably pink. I probably had pink eye like twice, maybe.
But usually your eyes aren't like pink. They're like, you know.
They're like reddish pink.
I mean, I
like
guess
when they're
so.
like itchy and stuff.
But pink eye is like, I think if you look at the images of like a guy who has been sniffling a bunch recently, and then a guy who has pink eye, it's like a pretty noticeable difference. There's a reason they call it pink eye. You know what I mean?
Right. But like I would get allergies like my reaction would be like in my eyes.
Yeah. No, I got that.
Okay. Well, like I'm not just sniffly, man. I'm not being a drama. Well, I mean, I am being a drama queen over here, but I'm not.
But still, you
only
got
being
pink eye a lot.
queen.
That's weird, I think.
I think it was probably more my allergies now that I'm thinking about it. I probably had pink eye like twice.
Because pink eye is like, it's funny. There's the bit that's like, oh, what are you and your partner doing? You got pink eye, bro?
Yeah. And if you were doing that, I bet you're probably doing some awesome stuff.
I don't know that a lot of people would agree with that, but sure.
No? You don't think so?
No, I don't think a lot of people like scat play, but
Oh, is that how you get pink eye?
yeah.
All right, so hey,
You get it with
take that one.
interacting with sort of fecal matter
take that
in
one back.
general, I think is a big source
Really?
of pink eye. Yeah.
Oh, is that where like the farting on the pillow thing comes from?
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Or maybe it's adjacent. I don't know.
I thought it was just like irritation of your eyes.
I mean, they do
Which I
get
guess-
irritated.
Right, but like lots of things irritate my eyes, so I don't know. I thought it was like a normal thing.
Yeah. Dude, I think one of the biggest irritants of my eye are my eyelashes, which are their main function is to get stuff out that is irritating my eye, but they often do the exact opposite.
Yeah, they're
It feels like a malfunction of sorts.
I mean, I feel like most of the time you notice when an eyelash gets in your eye because your eyelashes are typically so good at preventing things from getting into your eye that when you get an eyelash in your eye, it's like, oh my.
No, but they
God,
don't
are you
even be
serious?
preventing shit from getting in my eye.
Mm,
All the time, I
think you'd be
find myself
surprised.
with like a breadcrumb in there or something.
A breadcrumb?
Yeah, for sure.
Like you're eating a sandwich and you're like, oh shit, my turkey on rye, it's just going everywhere.
Yeah. Or why is it that when I wake up every morning, there's little yellow dust in there? What's that about?
You mean like eye goop?
I call it sleep, but yeah. That's just what I call it. I don't know.
You mean like when you get like stuff in your eyes, like right in this spot?
Yeah, in the crevices.
You call it sleep.
Yeah, it's sleep. Which, now that I'm saying it out loud, doesn't really make sense.
No, I think that word has a meaning already that we've all agreed on.
But there are words that have different meanings. Like set. Set has a million different ways you can use it. You can set a table. You can set a volleyball. You can set something up.
Right. You could have a group of things. That's a set.
There you go. You know what I'm saying? So I think
I guess
you
that's
can
true.
sleep,
but like, sleep
and you
is
can
just
get
sleep. Yes, but both of those things just mean to like close your eyes and be filled with rest. They're just words already that I feel like describe, like you can call them like eye boogers or something. I don't know. That's what.
That's gross. That's disgusting.
It is gross. That's why it's called
I don't think it's. I think boogers are more disgusting than the eye sleep.
Sure.
I don't think that's crazy.
No,
at least the sleep is like dust, you know? But boogers are like this weird like mucus thing. Sometimes they have like blood in them.
Yeah, but it's like
hair, nose hair. Ew.
I know. Oh my god, when you pull a booger out, and it's got a nose hair on it. That shit's nasty.
That's disgusting, man.
I've seen like some people have like hairy ass noses, and I'm thankful every day that that's not me.
I know there are some motherfuckers who would benefit a lot from getting that razor that cuts your nose hairs.
Can you imagine getting like laser hair removal on the inside of your nose?
I know, that's crazy, dude. One, it's like insane that we like figured out how to do that. But then
I feel like
two,
that's gotta be really tough.
It's like, how do you even? I guess like tools are awesome, you know.
Yeah, when we as primates evolved to use tools, I'd love to see like a monkey just like sticking a sharp ass rock up their schnoz and being like, "Wow, that used to be us."
It's crazy that some like medicine practices have like these insane, like it's crazy that like an MRI or like a CAT scan exists. Like that's an amazing feat of human engineering. And then you go to the dentist and they're like, yeah, we have like a big metal stick that we use and we're gonna fucking stab your gums until they bleed.
We're going to stab your gums until they bleed, and then we're going to be like, wow, I cannot believe your gums are so weak and they're bleeding after I stab them with a piece of metal.
Dude, they always be poking your shit, and then they're like, damn, your gums are sensitive. Motherfucker. It's like me shooting you, and then you're profusely in pain, and I'm like, damn, you're like weak as hell, bro.
You like can't even take a bullet? What the fuck is wrong with you?
No shit, man. You just shot me with 8 rounds
every day. Yeah. That's like my type weakness.
Did I ever tell you I had like because I had braces twice. My teeth are super fucked up and they're still fucked up.
Really?
And nothing. Yeah, so I had braces from, I think it was like 4th to almost 6th grade. And then I had braces from like 7th all the way through 8th or something like that.
I was gonna say, it was into high school. Braces for like a very long time.
It was into high school for a bit. I think I still had braces like midway through freshman year or something. I don't remember. I had braces for a long time and I had them twice, which sucks because I like got the euphoria of not having them and then I had to get them again.
Put them back on. That's what happened to my sister.
And I had to do the damn thing where they have to like create the mold of your teeth and they put all like the fucking gunk, like the clay in your mouth.
Play-Doh
I hate that shit. That's actually like, I think the like most premier form of torture that you can do that doesn't actually cause any real physical pain.
Yeah. I think it maybe depends on the person. I've never been through this form of torture, so
that stuff, I'm not joking. It feels like you're being like electrocuted, and I'm not joking.
See, I can't choose to not believe you because I've never had this experience, so I can't confirm or deny if that's true. But I feel like you might be being like just a little bit dramatic.
I swear to God, I'm not being hyperbolic. A little bit. It genuinely feels like you're being electrocuted when that happens. It's one of the worst things I've ever experienced in my life. But anyway, what I was gonna say, my orthodontist was fucked up because he would always come and check on me, like after the I don't know. It was never the orthodontist doing like one of the big procedures. It was always like one of the side hose, I guess.
Hygienist. Okay.
And then he would just come to make sure that they like did the job right or whatever, which is like a sick job to have if you think about it. Like you just have a bunch of people do stuff for you and then you go, open for me. Yeah, looks good.
And then they go, ooh.
And then you make $300,000, you know?
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
But he would always like chew gum and shit. Like he was the worst role model ever. There was one time where he's actively chewing gum and he's like, you chew gum? And I go, no. And he goes, okay.
Good.
Don't.
That's like my friends who are like going into med school now and they're like, yeah, sometimes I just need like a cigarette to take the edge off. And I'm like, aren't you think maybe like you shouldn't be doing that. What do I know?
I think they have privilege to do it though, because it's like
maybe they have like a secret that just like negates smoking 80,000 cigarettes in your lifetime.
No,
like if you eat some magic root,
just,
it just undoes all the damage to your lungs.
I think it's just if you work in the ER, and you like see a guy die, you're like,
really
you know what,
a
cigarette can't really be that bad, right?
But I feel that's like one of the worst ways to, like, having cancer has to be like one of the worst ways to go.
Yeah.
So, like, I understand enjoying the simple pleasures of being like, hey, you know what? Screw it. I'm just going to have a cigarette. It's going to be awesome. But then if you do that all the time and then you get lung cancer, like, you're going to have a very long, drawn out, painful death. And that sounds like it would suck ass.
I guess. I mean, isn't I feel like a lot of diseases are long, painful, and drawn out. I don't know.
That's why I think if I ever get nerfed in any way, like if I was ever, I feel like I could maybe
You already got nerfed, bro. You only have one fucking kidney.
That doesn't like change the function of my daily life literally at all, though.
But you're one tapped.
You know what? You're right. I guess I am. But I could always buy another shield. Like, it's fine.
I guess, but sometimes you're walking around tilted, and tilted's already been looted, so you can't find shield.
I mean more of like, I think I would survive for a significant enough period of time. Like, they could just put me on dialysis, and then they would get me a kidney replacement. And, like, sure, my life would suck for, like, 4 months, but then it would go back to the same quality that it was before.
I think you say that, but then there are, like, people who are, like, on waiting lists to get, like, a transplant of some kind for, like, months,
Yeah, but that's like not as like essential of an organ, and also everyone has 2 of them and you don't need 2.
Sure.
I don't need to be on a list. I could just be like, hey, mom, do you love me? She'd be like, yeah, I guess so.
But what if no one loves you?
That's a good point. I bet if I posted something on the internet that was like, hey guys, I need a kidney, anyone got one they don't want? So I'd be like, yeah, sure, you can have one of mine.
Everyone,
it would be just like Mahjong Soul. I'd make a profile with my blood type and my age.
Why do you always gotta? You always gotta interrupt me when I'm doing the intro, man.
I wasn't done talking. You started.
You stopped talking, so I started. Whatever, dude.
I took a pause. It's just a pause. I whatever. I'm sorry. I took a breath. I won't do it again.
Bullshit, bro. You didn't take a breath. You paused. There was a full stop period.
Okay, sorry.
And then
go ahead.
silence. No, I don't want to fucking do anything again.
Okay.
Stupid bullshit. It's like a Trojan horse.
So now that my pause is done, so
you always come in. You present your pauses as fucking actual pauses, but then I open up the Trojan horse and there's a medium amount of other stuff that needs to be said.
It's fine. I could just keep this stuff in the horse. I'm not invading Troy, so it's like fine.
Sometimes you don't have to invade Troy.
Sometimes you just let the guys, they stay in the horse and they go, you know what? Maybe it's not that bad in here. And then they just live their lives out in the horse. They start a community inside of the horse. And it's fine.
I mean, they have to do it quietly because they can't be found.
Very quietly. Right.
It's like some Anne Frank shit. Except you're in like the town square or something.
And you're in a big wooden horse.
How do you get food? I don't think those guys survive very long.
I would say it would be more of like a Lord of the Flies type situation, I think. Like that would be an interesting book.
A bunch of guys stuck in a Trojan horse.
Well, I mean, they're all stuck on an island and then they eventually like end up, I guess I won't spoil the book. If you haven't read it at this point, I don't know why. You're not going to care. They all kill each other.
Yeah.
But like if they can't exit the horse because they'll be killed, they all stay in the horse and they have to find some way to make it by as long as they can.
Right.
So then they start like losing their minds and probably eating each other and stuff. Homer would have loved this. He would have written about this for sure.
Homer would not have written about this. He was all about, wasn't he like the father of history? That was his thing.
He wrote the Odyssey.
I think he also wrote like some of the first like actual history books ever.
Really?
I think so. I mean, the Odyssey is like partly real in some sense, right?
I don't think that's true. I don't think that Odysseus fought Cyclopses.
No, but I think Odysseus was a guy that existed, and he went away to war,
Sure.
and he came back, and his wife was fucking another dude. Which
didn't that happen to
probably
like every
sucked.
guy who went to war?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I think that this is a dangerous stereotype that all men are evil.
No, what? Going to war is not the evil part. Like, if you get drafted and you have to go to war and you come back.
But the wife cheated with another guy.
Why does that make the man evil?
Because the woman wouldn't have done it. They're all pure and just.
I think men and women are equally bad, but
you said it. Women are bad. All right, cool. I'm good with that.
Yeah.
Clip it there.
Okay. So we're done. That's it.
Yep, we can move on.
This time I'm leaving all the Trojans inside of the horse. And writing a book about it. And you can read about it on my website.
If that's what you want to stand on, then I'm not going to stop you.
No, I just think like your gender doesn't make you a good or bad person.
Shut up, dude. So stupid.
Whatever,
Dumb
you know
bullshit,
I am.
Bro.
I love being philosophical. Carry on. Come on now. Whatever, it's fine. Who cares?
I don't know, man. Have you seen those ads on YouTube that are like, I forget what they're called. They're like, it's like the AI like audiobook thing where it's like, it's always like it's like an AI animated thing, and the ads are like 30 minutes long, and it's like it's the worst storyline ever. It's like a teenager and they're like in high school, and it's like, my name's Troy. I'm a guy without a power in a school full of superheroes, and I love my girlfriend. And then like the big bully called Duncan or something. Yeah. Hunk comes up and he's like, I'm going to steal your girlfriend and I'm going to have sex with her in front of the whole class.
That's kind of weird.
And it's all like weird AI voice acting and stuff. You haven't seen these?
No, I haven't.
Dude, because sometimes I'm like sitting in bed and I'm watching YouTube late at night and I get one of those ads, and the ads are like legitimately 30 minutes long. Sometimes I catch myself watching them for like 15 minutes.
Hey, it's okay. We all fall in those. Also, I didn't even think about this. The reason I don't see those is because I have YouTube Premium. I haven't watched an ad in so
that's
long.
Oh, god damn it, dude.
It kind of ruins a little bit of the fun. Sometimes I go on my computer and I sign out just to, feel something.
Yeah. But it's weird that it's like, one, it's weird that people look at My Hero Academia and they're like, this is the most premier story of all time, which is why we all have to rip it off.
So I don't know that I'd say that that's true. And I like the show and the manga.
But then it's, dude, I would love to read like an actual book like that.
Like an actual book that was written in the style of like a manga, but there's no visuals to go along with it whatsoever.
Yeah. And it's like can you imagine like a fiction novel that's written in sort of like the anime style of like an anime show? So it like has all the same tropes and the dialogue is exactly the same, but it's in book form. So you have to read it and there's no visuals.
So I could say something that would piss hundreds of thousands of people off if I wanted to give you a book that I think is comparable that you could read, but I'm not going to do that.
Despite the fact that like none of the dialogue or like story structure has changed, I think that book would be like one of the worst reviewed books of all time.
Potentially.
Like, can you imagine Naruto in book form? It's book 1047. And
I'm going to be honest, man, I still think it would do well. I don't think it would do well now, but I think if it was released when Naruto was released, I think it would probably be fine. Like, if you think about, like, Warrior Cats, they're, like, probably around, like, 100, maybe not 100, but there's, like, around 50, at least, like, Warrior Cat books.
Yeah.
And also, I feel like if there was no, like, if there's no visuals to go along with the story, like, each book is going to be, like, you don't need 2,000 issues of Naruto to cover all of Naruto because you don't have any of the pictures anymore. You just have the dialogue.
I suppose so.
Also, each page would just be like so rushed and jam-packed with onomatopoeias. It would be awesome.
I just can't imagine reading a book where all of the dialogue is like, that's the devil fruit tree. Let's go get it. You know, like.
Yeah, that does sound like super unenjoyable.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know,
It's beautiful how we can reframe things, and it changes the way we look at it.
Wait,
you can look at a square,
tell stories,
but then you put the square upside down, and you go, wow, the square is upside down now.
Well, if it was a square, it would look the same. But you could be like, oh my God, a square. And then you could flip it 90 degrees. And then you could be like, holy crap, it was a pyramid the whole time. And I was just looking at the base.
Okay, so it wasn't a square then.
Well, if you're looking at it from the bottom, it looks like a square.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Like a 4-sided pyramid. And then if you flip it, it looks like a triangle.
Okay.
It's about framing, man. It's important. That's actually kind of, I'm trying to think. I don't think it would do well, but I think that book would still have like a die-hard fan base.
Oh, for sure. I mean, there's people who like think Twilight is awesome, right?
That's because it is.
Well,
I will say,
I would argue it's a bit of a Trojan horse, but
it is. I think I haven't read the books because I'm not going to. But I've seen the first movie, and I've seen the first. Well, not the first actually, and I've seen like about 20 minutes into the last movie. I've seen 30 minutes of that. And a lot happens between those 2 points. Let me just tell you that. But I think that's more of like the movies are just written like so. I don't know if it's that they're like right on par with the books, and so like when it's acted out by real people, you're just like, what the fuck is going on right now?
Yeah.
Or if it's just that the acting is just awful and really bad, which is like maybe part of the problem.
The acting is just awful and really bad.
Especially in the first one. So many people make drinking games out of like if Kristen Stewart bites her lip and she's like,
yeah,
you have to take a shot. I think you'd be blackout drunk in the first like 15 minutes.
For sure. Yeah, you'd have to go to the hospital, I think.
But it's also like so beautifully like early 2000s, 2010s.
Yeah, it is very like Y2K
romance film.
Sort of.
It's so iconic for some reason.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's objectively probably not like that great of a form of media, but if you went and watched it, like you would enjoy yourself. You'd be like, wow, this is hilariously bad.
Yeah, I think
it's like The Room.
I think it depends. Well, The Room, I don't even think The Room can compete compared to like anything that
Do you think it's worse
currently.
Or better than Twilight?
Okay, so now we've entered into the realm of an interesting conversation.
Yeah.
I think The Room is probably... It depends on, like... I think we have to define axes of things that matter.
Okay.
Like, I think both of them are, objectively bad, obviously. Because The Room is, like, trying to be something, and it just falls miserably.
Flat so hard. They put the Trojan horse inside of Troy, and they realized they never made an exit door. It's like that episode of Drake and Josh.
Yeah, like
they're the treehouse.
It's so dog shit bad that it becomes funny. Like it has this irony factor. Like it is such technically a bad movie, but the irony of it, like having become this sort of like cultural thing, gives it the value that it has today. Which is why there's like a remake of The Room, and there's like, movie theaters that
they made the movie about the
jokes
filming of The Room.
Yeah.
I don't remember what the fuck it's called, but it was apparently it did relatively well. I feel like I remember.
Yeah.
Which is odd.
And now Tommy Wiseau is like this guy that people know who otherwise I don't think anyone would give a shit about probably.
No, definitely not. He would just be like a washed up actor.
Yeah. It has this very interesting, like, it's crazy that all that happened, I guess.
Yeah.
But
that's what, like,
Twilight is, I think, technically, nominally better in terms of, like, writing and production and, like, the people who worked on that like knew what a movie was before they
knew what a movie was,
and
they had seen them before, which it maybe appears that Tommy Wiseau has not.
It helps if you watch movies before you start making them, for sure. But because of that, it has like, I mean, it has an irony in its own way because it is also like a cultural thing, but I think less so than The Room, because it's not like The Room is sort of it has this like aura of like
also.
It's weird that like the film industry like produced this. It's weird that like we associate these like associate these enterprises with churning out material that is like impressive and interesting and like captures our attention, and like, like studios bring us fucking Iron Man, and that's like
and
really
then they
cool.
also bring us The Room.
And then The Room also comes out of that, and it's just like jarring and weird and crazy.
Yeah.
And then to me, I think to most people, Twilight is just sort of a thing that's like, I don't know, it exists.
This was like
and
how
like
I knew
we
that
don't
I liked
really...
boys, or how I knew that I liked girls when I was a kid.
It's just sort of a thing that's like, it exists, and like there are some people that like it and there are some people that don't, but it is this weird like cultural thing for the people who really care, which I think you could say the same about The Room, but The Room definitely has an aura that Twilight does not. It has like a swagger and a bravado that Twilight doesn't.
I think it's a good way of putting it. I think also like The Room being its own thing, like obviously Twilight is based on a book series and blah 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 blah.
Yeah,
blah.
the series definitely brings it down for sure.
Really?
Yeah, because it's like, I mean, I think a series can make a media franchise like way better and like longer lasting, and you can give it sort of like a legacy in a way that like just singular films like don't usually get. I think singular films that have long lasting legacies are kind of rare. Like we think about
like the
films like that, and it's like The Room, like Pulp Fiction,
Yep.
I don't know.
Oh my god. What is like Shawshank Redemption?
Shawshank Redemption. That's a good one. Yeah.
I'm trying to think of other like. Yeah, I guess I've never thought of, like standalone stories that don't have other follow-ups to them. Like we're all about franchises, I feel like nowadays.
Right.
Because we love seeing things that are familiar to us that we've already fallen in love with and being like, oh my god, this is my favorite vampire, Edward. I remember him from that book. And now they're making movies about him? Great.
Edward from Transylvania.
Yep.
And it's just like, I think it's hard to sort of keep everything straight in your head if it's like, this is Twilight Part 8 or whatever.
Right.
Then it's like, because like the movies in the series can have such varying levels of quality. Like famously with The Godfather Part 1 and Part 2 are like
smash hits,
sort of recognized as like two of the greatest movies ever made, and then The Godfather Part 3 is like a real solid step below that.
I was gonna say I didn't even know that there was a third one.
Yeah, it's the most famous trilogy of all time.
Well, obviously not. I think it's
not
the most
to you,
famous.
but you don't know shit about ducks.
Sure, but like
I was gonna say fuck, but then I said
Godfather,
duck for some reason. I don't know why.
I know of The Godfather, and I've seen The Godfather, and I knew that there was a second one that I never got around to watching. I didn't even know that there was a third one.
Yeah, because it's the worst one.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm sure it's probably still like marginally better than most films.
It's better than Twilight, probably.
That's not really the bar that I think I was looking for, but yeah.
It's the bar in terms of this conversation, I think.
Right, yes. But I don't think The Godfather is like... We're not like, what's better? The Room, Twilight, or The Godfather?
Maybe The Godfather, I don't know.
I guess The Godfather is probably the best one.
But if we're talking about like which... If either The Room or Twilight has more value, I think I go The Room. Even though it is worse, just because the ironic value is off the charts. Which I think is the axes that we have to measure on. Because like, the quality of either movie isn't particularly high to begin with.
Fantastic. Yeah, I think that's true. Well, and also like I don't know. Twilight just has a lot more like backing going to it. You know, I mean, the books were written and then they just made the movies based off of the books. Like, The Room is its own unique, like,
that's another thing. There's
microcosm of whatever the fuck they were trying to do.
There's like an industry around Twilight, which I think it makes me personally a little jaded about it, because it's like, oh, you can go to the Harry Potter roller coaster at fucking Universal.
Right. Which, like, is that as cool as I can't think of a single roller coaster at Cedar Point.
The Maverick.
The Maverick.
Probably not.
Probably not. The Maverick is its own thing. It was designed to be a cool roller coaster, whereas the Harry Potter magic shit ride is designed to, you know, replicate the Harry Potter experience.
I don't know about that. I think it's mostly to get you close to the gift shop.
Right. Well, that's at the end, obviously.
And they make you pay $20 for the pictures that they take on the roller coaster.
Yeah. Well, it's like, you know, it started out as trying to tell a story, but now has become more of like a franchise money-making opportunity. Whereas like The Room is just like a one-off, you know. Like, we thought that this was a good idea for some reason. They thought that was a good idea. And then they made a thing. And I don't, at least I hope there's no like Room-related capitalist money-making schemes out there. I hope there's no Room-related roller coaster or Room gift shop.
I mean, I'm sure there is. You could probably look some shit up on fucking
right, but like,
Etsy
they didn't design
whatever.
it to be like this whole, you know, like, we want people to fall in love with these characters so that we can, you know, make them see themselves in these people and then sell them things.
It's just still so funny.
No one is like,
happened,
damn,
man.
I'm so Tommy Wiseau is like literally so me.
But I think that's where like there is something to be said about like the enjoyment you get from the movie doesn't actually come from anything that happens in the movie. It just comes from the context of knowing that the room exists and it's sort of this like weird fucked up mistake that shouldn't be here.
Right. Like, I think if you watched it and you had never heard about any of like the cultural relevance, you would just be like, wow, this movie sucks ass.
Whereas like the value you get in Twilight is in like, oh damn, these dudes like have their shirt off, and that's like pretty hype.
That's like pretty cool. And they're both in love with the same girl. And the girl loves both of them. And like, if we were to examine this outside of a context of this franchise, we'd be like, wow, that's really weird and kind of fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
But because it exists within here, we can all live out our teen romance wolf vampire crossover dreams,
which we all have.
Which we all have, right? It'd be so weird to not have that.
It kind of The Room reminds me of Corey Feldman, who's like a famous child actor. He was in The Goonies and
the name sounds familiar, but like, I don't know.
Stand By Me. Very well known child actor. He got a ton of money for being in those movies. And then he went on to like make music later, and he puts out an album called Angelic to the Core, which, if you haven't seen the album cover of this, it's like one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, really?
It's one of the least well photoshopped images of probably of all time. But he puts out this album, Angelic to the Core, which is like, it's some of the worst music I've ever heard in my life. And it's all weird because there's like no context behind like what any of it means or like why he made it. And like in interviews, he talks about how like it was like a tribute to like Michael Jackson for some reason. It's like
right.
There's like electronic music, but also like classic rock and roll, and it's just truly awful, man.
This is such an interesting image,
right? Like, it doesn't. There's nothing you can compare that image to. If you want to describe for the audio listeners what you're seeing as you're seeing it in real time,
sure. So you know, like the Metro Goldwyn Mayer lion.
That might be the least relatable thing.
Oh, just wait. So you know how like the logo like unfolds out and like there's the lion but there's, I need you to think about the banner beneath it, right?
Yeah.
There's like the flowing golden banner that's like, you know, sort of like flowing out of the wind at both ends somehow.
Yeah.
So that is smack at the top. There's no lion, but the banner is there. And it says angelic to the core. By the way, you know it's cool because it uses the number 2 instead of the word 2.
That's right. Hell yeah.
Angelic to the core. In some sort of like cursive-esque font. I couldn't describe to you exactly what it is.
One of those, like, if you look at, like if you're on Microsoft Word and you see like the fancy calligraphy font where it's all curvy and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And that font is also used, so that's like at the top. In the top, we'll say like 20% margin of the frame of the album. And then we've got 2 women dressed in angel costumes. They're a little bit more scantily clad than like the biblically accurate angels that you might be used to. But think like Halloween costume, hot angel, Party City-esque outfit. And you've got it right on the money. Both of these women are obviously blonde. They're wearing bright pink lipstick. And they are grabbing Corey Feldman by the arms and pulling him out of what appears to be hell. There's just like it kind of just looks like they took a photo of like the tarmac of... But it's like an old tarmac, so it's like cracked and stuff, and then they photoshopped like it to be red in between the cracks. And then Corey Feldman is like kind of coming out of like the foam ball pit or not the foam ball pit, but like the foam pit at Sky Zone or Zip City. So like his torso is kind of still under the ground, and they've obviously shopped all of that to be gray, so it looks like he's coming out of the tarmac kind of. And there's flames surrounding him because he's in hell, and everyone knows that hell is just like an endless landscape of burning flames. There's a lot of smoke kind of around in the general area, so it looks like someone's been doing, hitting a doobie or two. And then at the bottom, it just says Corey Feldman in that same beautiful angelic to the core font, but it's like bright gold.
It has sort of that like, if you look at like old rap mixtapes where all the text is like metallic and like there's a million like sort of like sunbursts or like lens flares to make it really shiny, but it's like clearly like a preset image that someone got like from like a download pack on some website somewhere.
And I wish that I had the ability. I'm looking at another image below it. There on the CD for Angelic to the Core, it comes with like a fold out like it would in a record, but it folds out 3 times. And on each of like the 1/3, like I'm trying to remember what the word is, but like if you had like a poster board and it folds out into like 3 sections,
like
imagine that. And each of these images, Corey Feldman is laying on a bed of clouds, kind of hitting like the model.
Paint me like one of your French girls.
Paint me like one of your French girls poses. Still, by the way, I guess I didn't clarify this. There's a very deep contrast between the angels who are wearing white and Corey Feldman who's wearing an all black. Like his hair is like super long and black.
This image is steeped in metaphor and subtext. It
looks like he's wearing crocodile skin, but the crocodile skin is also black. And he's wearing tap dancing shoes, I think I've decided.
There's just really nothing like that.
Yeah.
Anyways,
at least not anymore.
The Room reminds me of this because this is like an hour and a half of like some of the worst music I've ever heard in my life.
Oh, it's really that bad?
Yeah, it's like really that bad. And it doesn't matter how many times you say it's a tribute to Michael Jackson, that doesn't make it any more interesting.
Any better.
No.
It
doesn't make the medicine go down any easier.
Because like it's not successful, so it doesn't really matter.
No. But I remember like the album came out and there's like, people who listened to it were like, wow, this is really bad. And then like,
right.
I think it's like Katy Perry. There's like a tweet that Katy Perry put out where she was like, I just like that he's doing what he wants to do.
Sure.
Which it's like, okay, thank you, Katy Perry.
I think that's fine.
I
don't think that's a bad take, but that doesn't mean that his music isn't objectively bad.
No, but I think it's really funny if you've heard what the music sounds like.
Because I guess, to be fair, she doesn't actually say anything in defense of the music or that it's good. She just says, at least he's doing what he wants.
Yeah. Which, it's fine. It's whatever, but...
Well, I know what I'm going to do after this.
Funny. Yeah, it is a use of your time. It is one way to use your time. That is definitely for sure.
I have to finish doing my laundry after this, so, I've got to listen to something.
Yeah, it's great laundry music, for sure. You'll have a great time.
I'm sure I will.
Speaking of angels, dude, I was thinking we should, I really want to go to one of those, like, megachurch sermons.
I would love to.
Dude, because, like, what if they...
Can you imagine we meet Joel Osteen?
No, I don't want to meet Joel Osteen. He's like a weird... He could be in Twilight. I think I want to go because, like, I want one of those pastors who's like... They, like, bought a motorcycle to bring on stage, but, like, bringing it on stage is, like, the tax write-off he needed, so he could just buy it for himself. And then he, like, works the motorcycle into the sermon. Show it. As a way, like, Jesus is like motorcycles. You ride into grace, his grace.
I could see that happening. And he's like, the quicker I can get there, the better. That's why I've got this sweet, holy hog to drive me straight into Jesus' arms.
Sometimes we take the scenic route.
And then, like, 5 dancers descend from the scene. And they're wearing the same costumes that they are in fucking Corey Feldman's album. And they start tap dancing on the ground as he, like, does donuts on the stage. It's pretty awesome.
And then it turns into, like, a musical number. He starts out slow, like it's a really emotional Adele song. He's like, this little light of mine, I'm gonna... let it. He's like stretching out the word.
It's so awesome. I mean, it's kind of just
Dude,
like
the
if you're just like a regular
so
ass. If you're just like a regular ass, non-brainwashed person, it's probably a great concert.
That's what I'm saying. Like
it probably rocks,
and it's free, right? It's just church. You could just go.
Is it?
Is it? I would imagine it's church, right?
Well, like, I'm sure it's free in concept, but they're going to be like, and we will now be taking donations. Let's start the bidding at $200. And it's like, okay, so this feels kind of odd for a religious place, but that's okay.
We are now asking you to sign up to the military.
Please do not read this contract. I'd just like if you signed your name.
We will have recruiters walking up and down the pews.
And then everyone's like, ah! And it's, everyone's just losing their shit. I do love that clip of, like, the megachurch where the guy just, like, gets lifted into the... Like, he's dancing and all of a sudden he just gets, like, lifted into the air.
Yeah.
I really want to be there.
That
so does look like a great place to be.
If that was where I went to church when I was a kid, I think I'd still be Catholic. That's just awesome.
Yeah, I probably would. I think, like, I wouldn't believe in
honestly,
it,
you're just, like, supporting local artists. You know what I mean? I'll throw $50 this guy's way.
$50. It's like kind of, it's like a big tip for the church.
I like to think that, like, all these people are just, like, like, people who wanted to do Broadway.
They just couldn't. So they were like, you know what?
Didn't get in.
I'll get into religion.
Yeah. Well, they see...
Hey, you know what they found their niche?
You know what I bet it was? It's, like, a LinkedIn job post where they're, like, the post is like acting opportunity for VP of Career Group Partners LLC Incorporated.
Right,
and it doesn't give you any of the details of, like, what the job actually is. It's like through, like, a consulting firm, and you have to talk to like some guy who's based in, like, Guatemala or some shit.
It's crazy that you said that because that's exactly what I was thinking for some reason.
And then they show up to the interview and they're like, why is there a giant crucifixion?
Why is there like wait, I have to get up there. You want me to lay on that cross and then, they like pin you up and whatever.
Nails? Oh, they're not real nails. Okay. That's good.
I could be into that.
Yeah.
Sure.
Do I get health insurance?
Big time. You want to know what? You won't need it.
What does that mean?
You get health insurance, but you make enough money that you can just pay the bill in cash.
Yeah, you get hella tips for sure, I bet.
Oh, yeah, big time. That's like the ultimate server job.
Can we get 5 Twitch Primes for the Lord?
I need it to transition to that. I need those two cultures to come together.
There is, for a little bit there was a moment where the most watched, maybe it is still like this, I don't know, the most watched live stream on YouTube in terms of like peak viewers or whatever is like this guy from South Africa who does sermons, and they just live stream it.
I'd believe that, especially like during COVID or something. I'm sure that popped off.
I think it was, like a COVID kind of thing.
I'm just surprised that like no one has merged those two worlds yet.
I mean, I think it's there. That's what Rumble's like pretty good.
Right. But like I think people in the community of like avid churchgoers who love to get scammed by like church gift shops, they don't know enough about the internet to know that they could just like see that at home.
Oh, you just unlocked a lot of memories for me when you said church gift shop. Because I remember we did like so many field trips where it's like we went to like the fucking, like when we were in DC, we went to a big church thing. I think it might have been a cathedral with like a bishop or whatever. But they had like it was so big that they had like a lunchroom where it was like a full, like the lunchroom had like their own staff that like made food for all the people at the church, and there was like a gift shop attached to it, and you could go the church gift shop is always like, I don't know, it's so strange. It's always like you can buy this vial of real holy water.
It's like, don't you just need water that a priest is like?
A priest just has to bless.
I bless this water. That's just like that's an infinite money glitch.
That is an infinite money glitch. Yeah. What do people even do with that shit? They go home and they like pour it on their like kid.
You put it in a squirt gun.
The holy water squirt gun is crazy.
Can you imagine your parents are like mad at you and they're like, I forgive you, and they're just shooting you with a water gun.
It's Jesus or nothing this summer.
Ed Nerf. The gun is just like a big cross.
It's one of those, what's that pool toy where like you lower it into the water? It's like a noodle, but like you have to like pull the thing back to load it with water.
Oh yeah.
Hell yeah, man.
I don't know what they're called.
I don't either.
Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about.
But whatever that is, we put some holy water in that. I walk around looking for guys named Edward, spraying them, hoping that they turn into sort of bile because they're vampires.
Right, because they're vampires. I throw cloves of garlic at them and I shoot holy water and they turn into a puddle of goop. Dude. Now that would be an amazing movie.
This is a great product, and I'm like not even joking. I think Mormon kids would eat this shit up.
I think they would, but I don't want to sell that to them because I feel like it's sort of morally bankrupt. But I'm like kind of, I could be convinced.
If anyone
to get
wants to make a
sure.
quick bag out there, then feel free to steal this.
I just think it's crazy because I didn't know that like those types of things existed, and then my now not girlfriend's mom took me to church with their family, and their church was crazy. Not like a mega church level, but I was like, wow, this building is beautiful and like very nice.
Yeah.
She was like, yeah, it's all funded by like donations from the community. And I'm like, that's crazy because that looks like it might be a column of real gold, which doesn't really feel essential to, like this whole process. And then they were like, yeah, and we're going to go to the grotto afterwards. And I was like, oh, well, what's the grotto? The grotto is a gift shop.
Yeah.
Designed to look, it was like a replica of like the facade of the grotto is like a replica of like some cave.
Yeah.
Like Mother Teresa or someone important in the Catholic faith that I am not aware of, like did some sort of prayer that cured bunches of people.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, this is just like so predatory.
Yeah. It's
pretty
I don't
awesome.
know. It's weird. I remember distinctly having like a pocket Bible when I was a kid that I got at a church gift shop, which is crazy because like the Bible is like a ginormous book, so it's crazy that you can have a version of it that fits in your pocket. I don't know what to tell you. It was literally the whole Bible and it fit in your pocket, and it's crazy.
Could you
Whoever
actually
figured
read
that
it?
out? Yes, you could.
Really? Okay, because I'm thinking like the font size has to be like 3.
It was small for sure.
It was small. So maybe as you age, it would be more difficult to read.
Yeah. But I carried that shit around. I think I just liked. I carried it around for a bit, not because like I like fucked with the Bible heavy and I was like reading it, but I just liked having like a small thing that I could have.
I think that's fair. There's something intrinsically nice about small things.
Yeah. And it was
like,
it was just
so my
little
guy.
I think it's just the way it fit in my pocket just made me happy.
Okay. That's okay, man. You don't have to. That's all right.
I don't know. I was also like 6 or whatever, so
you were like, Jesus is with me at all
Crucify
times.
me.
Hey, well, with this new product coming this summer, we can.
It's the crown of thorns or nothing. What are you giving me that look for?
I don't want to give children the crown of thorns. That makes me feel bad.
Children love the crown of thorns.
Right, they love the story. I don't think that I would actually like a crown of thorns being placed on my head.
No, because when I was in 8th grade, we had to do a recreation of Jesus being crucified, like that day. I forget what it's called.
We nailed one of my classmates to a 2x4.
We did.
What? Not like really, though.
I forget what it's called. There's like something that's like the 15 steps or something like that, and it's like a number of moments, or it depends on like what fucking church you're part of. Sometimes they have like 12, and sometimes it's like 15. And it's like the moments leading up to, and then a little bit after the crucifixion of JC. And we did every year, like the 8th grade class had to do a recreation of it, and everyone wanted to be Jesus so they could wear the crown of thorns. I mean, I didn't want to be Jesus. I was like chill with like being a sheep or whatever, but
I will say, I mean, like, I'm sure it's probably drip, I guess, but doesn't that thing hurt?
It's supposed to, but this is, we made it not that.
Okay. If it's purely like I'm surprised that hasn't taken off in like Italy or something, because they're high fashion. Be like, check out this new headwear accessory. It's based off of the crown of thorns from the Bible.
I mean, you've seen Kendrick. He has that diamond-encrusted crown of thorns.
Yeah, it goes pretty hard.
It goes pretty hard.
It's so strange to me that he's so religious.
I mean, I don't know if we know that he's that religious. I think he talks about
a lot about God for someone that... He talks a lot about God for me to not believe that he is religious.
You think he goes to church every Sunday?
Hell no.
Okay, so
but like everyone,
to me, being
everyone's
really
just
religious is
hypocritical.
going to church every Sunday or going to temple or whatever.
Yeah, I guess so. Maybe, but you know what? Maybe he does. I just feel like it's interesting. Like, it's like we were talking about, like celebrities having sort of, an obligation to like say things.
Yeah.
Or like have stances on things. I think it's odd to take that stance and be so loud about it if you don't believe it. Like, I was just really surprised because I was like,
no, I
had
think
never listened to a lot of,
but I think you can also like believe a lot of shit about religion while also just being like,
a normal person.
Like, God is chill and cool, but like I'm still gonna go to Five Guys later and like chow down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't have to be
I can respect that.
A big part of your life. I think you can just be like, God is cool and he does stuff and he talks to people sometimes. And I think a lot of people are like that, true. Where it's just like...
I feel like maybe I just don't know that many people like that. Everyone I know is either like religious and they go to church, or they're not and they don't.
I think that's just because we're from Ohio.
I guess so.
I think so, because like...
I feel like I just know a lot of young people, and we're just not like a super... I feel like our generation not tapped is just not super tapped into JC and his teachings. We need to hop on the holy bike of Christ and drive into his loving arms.
And you also need to sign your name at the bottom of this army recruitment form.
Please and thank you.
And make sure to stop by the grotto before you head out this fine Sunday.
We have Bath and Body Works candles for $200 price tags.
Get yourself a beautiful rosary made by Chinese children. For less than minimum wage.
Truly. For only 300% markup.
That's right. And all donations go directly to my bank. I mean, the church and Jesus' mission. I don't know.
And amazing projects like this Holy Cruiser.
I think they just get meals delivered to them.
No, I think they get paid. I don't get paid like a ton as a priest. Oh, actually, you're probably right. I know that the church that I used to go to, our priest made a salary.
Because I know, or I guess I don't know, but in high school, it was, I went to a Jesuit high school. So a lot of the teachers were Jesuits, which is just a denomination of if you're a Jesuit, your thing is if the Pope tells you to do something, then you have to do it.
You just do it.
Yeah, that's dead ass their thing. They just simp for the Pope.
The Pope tells people to just break it down all the time. That'd be tough.
The Pope says, I need you to bless a bunch of water so we can sell it.
I mean, he does say that, and then they do that.
But I remember a lot of my teachers were Jesuit guys, who are priests, and they do mass and stuff like that. And they lived in a house, on campus. And they some of them had cars, but the cars that everything they own is technically owned by the church. None of it is in their name.
That's so interesting.
And they aren't allowed to have or maybe they can have a house, but I don't think any of them do. Or not their job doesn't allow them to have a.
Just imagine pulling up to the Toyota dealership and being like, yeah, I think I'd like to purchase a brand new 4Runner.
Yeah.
Yeah, put that down to the name of the church, please. It's what? What do you mean? Well, I use it to get from my house to the church where I deliver a sermon, so it's for the church.
Yeah. You can write the check to the corner of 34th and Marion Avenue. Yeah, it was weird. They I know the one guy had a car, and it wasn't his name, but he drove it every day. And then one day, dead ass, he got a letter from the Vatican, and they were like, we need you to teach Latin in Mexico. They took his car, and he went to Mexico, and he taught Latin.
Okay.
In Mexico.
Did he speak any Spanish?
Yeah, he was a Spanish teacher.
Oh, okay. It's man, that's tough.
But they can just do that.
Effectively,
to you,
you're just getting deported.
Yeah,
that's so interesting.
And that's just how they live. It's weird.
Cool.
Anyway,
life would be so simple if someone just told me to do shit and then I just had to do it, and that was it, and I didn't have to think about anything.
Yeah,
I think I would be bad at that, but
I must imagine when what the fuck is the new Pope's name?
Leo.
When Daddy Leo calls and he tells you to move to Mexico to speak a language that's not your native tongue, to teach Latin and shit. That's crazy, man. It's also crazy to okay, you're speaking in a language that is not your native. That's fine with me. I can understand that part. But then you have to teach the kids a language in a different language. You know what I'm saying?
I was just saying that is neither of the languages that you do speak.
He's using Spanish to communicate the concepts of Latin, of which neither he is native tongue of. That's crazy. And
He's a talented guy.
I know there's
you do anything for the Vatican.
I know there's a system of if you don't want to do it, you can write the Pope a letter, or whoever. There's directors or whatever.
You're gonna tell the Pope no. You're gonna be no, I don't want to.
But you write to your supervisor, and you're I really don't want to do it though.
But please, God has other plans for this guy.
Yeah. We're gonna need you to get a motorcycle in Minnesota.
I'm going to need you to instead send me a sweet holy hug. And,
the Pope requires one copy of Deltarune. If anyone would like to donate, he really wants to finish chapter 4.
He has no idea about Deltarune. He probably didn't even finish Undertale. Whatever, man.
No, I don't. He never booted that shit up, man.
I know people were insulted by that, but I unironically think that's such a good gift.
I don't know what else. I wouldn't. You can't get him a microwave,
No, he's not going to use it.
Or a vacuum. Or like flowers. Flowers seems a little too tame.
Yeah, it's a little bit, but everyone gets flowers, it's not like unique enough. It's like the Pope. There's one Pope on the earth. He's a special guy, and he's never played Undertale.
And he's deserving of one copy of Undertale.
He's gonna fight Sans, and Sans is he's gonna go through the whole game and he's gonna kill everyone instead of sparing them.
Dude, he does the genocide route.
Aren't you the Pope? He's like, I thought this is how you played video games, man.
Yeah.
He's the guy who figures he doesn't know anything about Undertale, and he still figures out how to do a full pacifist run.
It's crazy because you need like some hidden knowledge.
You
to do that shit. It's impressive. Maybe that's like how we can fucking prove that he's like truly good and God is real. Because if God is real,
that's what I'm saying.
The Pope will find the way to make peace happen everywhere, including.
There are so many times that like video game and popular media have almost brought us to world peace, and I think that could be the one that we need now.
Yeah, we were so close to world peace with Undertale.
No, but like I think like when Gangnam Style came out, we were like pretty close there. And then like 4 years later with Pokemon Go, we almost had it.
Pokemon Go was close for sure. Yeah.
And not only that, it also got all of us outside and exercising and caring about our environments, which I don't think anything is ever going to do ever again.
Dude, I'm still fucking pissed when we were at summer camp and Pokemon Go came out, and then all the counselors were like, phones. You can use your phone. Like there was a strict no phone policy, and then all of that just went out the window when Pokemon Go released. I was so pissed because I never brought my phone because I was like, there's no point.
You were a law-abiding citizen.
It's not that I was law-abiding. It's like if we're at summer camp, we should do the outside stuff that the summer camp is about.
That camp was so much fun.
It was a lot of fun.
Those were the days, man. I wonder what up to now.
I don't want to think about. I don't. We should probably bleep his name.
Yeah, we can.
Dude, what if he's like an accountant?
I bet he works at a fucking stock brokerage.
Dude, that'd be crazy. I wonder what music he listens to. I wonder what he does.
I am curious.
Do you think he jacked off yesterday?
Probably.
That's crazy to think about.
I'd say there's at least a 50% chance.
It's like weird that he has his own life outside of like our interactions with him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, why wouldn't he? Everyone does.
I know, that's crazy though. I don't think about that. Or like I think about it a lot. But like
really? I think about that all
I think about it all the time, but I don't consciously like recognize it, I think. You know what I mean? I think it's easy to be like, like after you hang out with your friends, like that they go home and stuff. But then like they do stuff when they're home.
No, they don't. They just wait for me to ask them to hang out again. Duh.
Like some people will go like, sit on the toilet for 30 minutes and then play Subway Surfers.
That sounds like something I would do on the toilet.
I don't fuck with phone on the toilet. I think that shit's gross.
Really?
Yeah. I
don't like
evil.
I don't touch my hand with the same hand that I use to use the bathroom.
I don't think it matters. Same body.
Sure. But then like you are going to use your phone afterwards anyway.
Yeah, but you wash your hands in between.
Okay, well that just defeats.
And you put your goddamn underwear on.
Yeah, I guess
you create a physical barrier between you and the Black Mirror.
Right. But like, what if I was like having sex, but like my phone was in the same room as me? Is that physical barrier gone?
I think that's fine.
I'm not on it, obviously.
I don't think
like,
that's
what if
weird.
It's there. Okay.
Because sex.
I mean, I agree. It would be weird because like
there's this idea that sex is gross, but it's like low key natural.
No. Super.
Unless you're ejaculating on your phone.
That would be kind of odd.
It's happened before. I guarantee it.
Yeah, people make videos of tributes online all the time.
I suppose so, yeah.
Which is like the craziest concept in the whole world to me. I remember when I found out that it was a thing, I was like, what the fuck is this?
Well, you got to show tribute. It's like pay your respects
to who. But why are you posting it
to
online
Riley
for
Reid,
other
bro?
people
She put
to
in
see?
a lot of good work.
Right, but why do you need to let other people know how much you love Riley Reid?
Because maybe it was after she released that rap song where she said the N-word a bunch of times, and you wanted to like defend her.
What? Why is my mom calling me? It is 2:08 in the afternoon.
Or maybe something important going on. I don't know. But Riley Reid has
afterwards
a rap song where she says the N-word like a lot.
Forgive me, but isn't she white?
Yeah.
Okay.
Her name is Riley. I mean, it's
I figured. I didn't want to assume, but
Yeah.
I figured.
No, she's like very white.
Yeah, so maybe not something that I would do, but to each their own, I guess.
I would imagine there's someone out there who, they appreciate Riley Reid's work in this space.
No, but like there will be times where like, I'm scrolling on Reddit and it's like request. And I'm like, oh, request.
Request?
Like someone requested this tribute.
What?
Yeah. I've seen that as a post on Reddit before.
You mean what subreddits are these? I don't get these.
I don't remember.
Like
it wasn't like that I looked something up. I'm trying to it was definitely something anime related. So like I will already, we're in dangerous territory off the bat.
Okay.
But I don't remember what show it was. It
Okay,
might have been
maybe we shouldn't create blackmail for yourself.
Right.
In real time.
Sure, man. I think I might have been on the new like My Hero Academia Vigilantes subreddit. I think. But now I can't remember.
It's a weird place. Let's get out of this. Do you have a fish fact?
I do have a fish fact.
Okay, let's do that.
Of course I have a fish fact. Do you know the jingle?
We
gotta make like a
there was like a key change in there.
Yeah. I'll get an Elgato Stream Deck so I can boop.
Yeah.
And play it.
What you got?
Okay. So my fish fact for today is technically about a crustacean, but it's still
that's
an
fish.
Aquatic life fact. Is that okay?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, that's fish.
Anywho, there is an animal out there called the marbled crayfish. And it's called that because it has like some marbling on its shell. It's got bug armor, just like,
bugs.
A fucking scorpion or bugs, yeah. But it is the only known, like crustacean, I guess, that reproduces by cloning itself. So every individual, like every female of this species in existence has laid hundreds of eggs, and they are all genetically identical to the original one. Like there's no genetic variation among any of, the crayfish reproduced by this crayfish. And it is now like a super invasive species because it's like super easy for it to reproduce because it just clones itself over and over again. But every single one of those is genetically identical, which I just thought was cool.
Where is it invasive?
It started in Germany, and now it's like all throughout like Eastern Europe, and it's like moving further west.
Is it like an ocean thing, or is it like a freshwater thing?
I think they're a freshwater animal. Yeah. It's been found in Belgium, Denmark, Madagascar. Wow, okay.
Madagascar and Germany, same vibes.
Yeah, well, like, it started in Germany.
They both do
Austria,
Oktoberfest.
Denmark, Italy. They do. It's true. I don't think Madagascar celebrates Oktoberfest.
I'm sure there's one guy who's done Oktoberfest in Madagascar. I want to believe that
but
that's
they're
true.
Pretty cool. And they're like a really good indicator of studying like genetic variation or like evolution over time because genetically they're all the exact same.
They dolly the sheep themselves.
They did, yeah.
That's kind of fire.
Because it was created like in a lab by scientists.
This is a lab created animal?
Well, they bred it like using other existing.
Yeah.
But yeah, they figured out how to make like a crayfish that just is essentially asexual.
Oh, they're doing like that's like Jurassic Park where they bred the dinosaurs back to life.
Yeah, but crayfish like exist already, and they're not.
No, I know, but like, it's crazy that you can make a new animal. Yeah, I think there's interesting moral questions that arise from this.
I think I don't know.
I'm not sure if I'm the one to ask them, but
yeah, that's okay. You're still like creating life, and as long as you're not like, shut up. Anyway, as long as you're not like, leaving them to live in horrible conditions, then I feel like it's morally like fine.
I suppose so, but this is like it's
like having a kid.
The anti-natalist subreddit will be on our asses for this one, but it's like we didn't ask to bring them, or they didn't want to, or whatever.
Right, man. I didn't ask to be brought into this world where I'm never going to be able to afford a house, and continuously rich people keep getting easier and easier lives, and my life keep getting worse and worse.
We didn't ask for the crayfish's consent before we made it, and then we brought it into the world, and now it has to live that way.
Yeah, and living can contain struggle. So if we eliminate the struggle from the crayfish's life, does that mean that we've essentially negated any of the negative moral implications?
No, because they still...
To live is to struggle.
But to live is also to not have made the choice yourself. You could not have made a choice if you did not exist.
Right.
That's the fundamental nature.
So how would I choose to exist if I don't have...
That's the argument. So maybe none of us should have ever been born.
I feel like that's an interesting way to waste your life. You couldn't argue that if you had never been born.
I think that's a great way to put it.
It's just such like an interesting argument, because like how would you ever even articulate
it's such a nothing
that if you
argument,
never existed?
Right? Like it's sort of like saying, okay, but if it didn't happen, then what?
Like, what if instead we all what if we couldn't breathe oxygen? What if our bodies needed nitrogen instead?
What if we were all born in space and we instantly explode because of the Kelvin temperatures?
That's a good question, Jimmy. So yeah, no, that just seems like such a waste of like your efforts.
Here's a DS, Jimmy. Stop talking to me.
Yeah, like I understand the argument, and it's not even that I entirely disagree with it. It's just like, why, like, just spend your time trying to make the conditions for people better so that you don't have to argue that they're born into times that suck anyway.
Like, or we can all just like play Monopoly and forget about it.
We could, yeah.
All right, I got a poem.
Okay. Do you want me to make a jingle for you?
Yeah, you could do a jingle.
Okay.
You didn't really... You asked to do a jingle, and now you don't have a jingle.
I wasn't thinking about it. Jackson's pretty poem. Doo-ba-doo-up, boo-doo-ba. There you go.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
This poem I wrote a little over an hour ago because I realized that I didn't have a poem for this week. So I wrote it very fast. And I think the poem is better if I also read it very fast, so you got to keep up. Okay. And I'm not going to slow down for you. This one is called The Best Billiards Player in the World. A game of skill, a game of chance, a game to match the mating dance. A magic book took a quick look into the past. He found a patch of tall grass growing on an old stern mast head. Spells that can't be cast when losers come and last on worn-out treads. The cows have been fed, noses have bled, roses are never red. When the doctor looks at his watch to start a meeting that no one ever scheduled, a pencil drops before silence overtakes. One measly muscle differentiates the greats. What's done is done, the gun is run. No reason burns brighter than a hot white sun. There have only been 1 million milliseconds since January 1st, 1971.
Holy fuck.
Mic drop, bitch. That
was bars.
I think if I read it slow, it doesn't hit as hard.
I would agree.
I didn't plan, I should have thought about this. I didn't plan where I was going to breathe in that.
That's okay.
I'm not a goat rapper, but that's my poem for this week. So vote now on your phones. Did you enjoy the fish fact or the poem more this week? Let us know in the comments
I enjoyed
below.
the poem more.
I think I enjoyed the fish fact more.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's interesting to think of an organism that's,
I think science is dope.
Yeah, no, science is awesome. But like that reminded me of like Kendrick's rap verse on Man at the Garden, where he just like steadily gets like faster and faster.
Yeah.
Where he's like, more blood spilling, it's just paint to me, dangerously. And he just keeps going.
Yeah.
That shit's fire. That was heat.
We need like, what's like the ultimate combination here? Like we get, like
we write a fish poem together.
Yeah, I think we need Hank Green to get the coolest fish fact, and then he is also a rapper because he does music, I think. And
or if he doesn't, he could figure it out, I think.
He could figure it out for sure. We get him to rap a really cool rap about fish, about a certain fish that does a cool thing. That's like the penultimate.
That would be our most successful piece of media we've ever made.
Yeah, that might be, honestly, after that exists, I don't think anyone needs to make anything else after that.
We could just stop creating, like, in general.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we'll just kind of be done. I did have this thought. I was like, we're slowly creating the coolest, like, coffee table book of all time.
You and I.
Yeah. Can you imagine a coffee table book? Poems and also fish facts. And that would be pretty page, you have one poem and one Wikipedia entry of a fish.
I think it would be more like each like spread of like 2 pages. Like we have like a cool fish fact and then an awesome poem. You know,
the poem doesn't really take up much page real estate, though.
That's okay. Well, neither does. I mean, the fish fact also doesn't have to. It can just be a couple of sentences. But I think it's more about like the graphical impact of like having. We'll just have like super awesome art behind them, obviously. And there'll be like the fish fact centered on like some awesome images of said fish, and then the poem centered on some awesome image that has to do with the poem. I think that'd be a great coffee table book.
I think all my poems would be. They're meant to be experienced side by side with like a traditional Basquiat.
Yeah. What would you believe me right now if I told you that I'm wearing a Basquiat shirt?
No way. Are you really? I thought it was just a shirt. Whoa. I don't see it, but there's drawings on it.
Yeah, and also like the
for the audio listeners.
The lighting in the room is not going to do it any favors, but no. There's my crown, bro. I love this shirt.
That's funny, man.
Boom. String theory? I believed it.
Okay. That's cool.
Yep.
I believe in soda theory.
Soda theory, dude.
It's where I drink a lot of soda and my life slowly gets worse and worse, and there's nothing I can do about it.
Have you noticed that happening?
I think there was a period of my life where I drank a lot of soda, and my life was noticeably worse than the period of my life where I drank less soda.
Do you think it was because of the soda or just something else?
That's still what the theory... I'm, like, working on it.
Gotcha.
I've got, like, some math equations that I have to solve. I figure that one out. But that's the tough thing, because soda is, like, awesome.
Soda is awesome. It's really cool.
You know what I'm saying? Whoever figured out, like, making... Like, there's regular soda, and then there's, like, Coke Cherry. Whoever figured that out is, like, one of the smartest people ever, I think.
I think they might have just added, like, cherry syrup into the Coke.
No.
But even if that was such a simple implementation, I still think that they deserve something for that because no one had thought about that before.
Yeah, they should make a new Nobel Prize category for like. They should have like a miscellaneous category, just for whatever.
Maybe we could do that. That could be another. Can we do that? Can we do another weekly segment?
we're adding too many weekly segments. What is your idea here?
Like we just
we award a Nobel Prize.
No. We just award. We give a shout out to someone who invented something that we enjoy in our everyday, who we don't think gets the recognition that they deserve.
I think we've run out of stuff so fast.
Okay, maybe.
Because I think what we'll find
that's fair.
Is that like when we look at the guy who invented the microwave, we're like, oh, this guy's cool, and maybe we teach some people some stuff about the guy who invented the microwave, and then we're like, what also is really cool? The fridge, and then we find out the guy who made the fridge is like also the guy who made the microwave. You know what I mean?
I guess that's fair. And the microwave is something that we should all know who invented it, but we just don't.
And after a couple months, it's like, what are we shouting out the maker of? Like ribbons?
Maybe. I don't know.
Today we want to shout out the maker of ribbons everywhere.
Okay. I understand now that it sounds stupid.
But it is funny. There should be like a miscellaneous Nobel Prize.
There should. Also, unfortunately, I cannot find that one singular person invented cherry Coke.
It's like the fucking, god damn it! You spoke and I lost my train of thought, and I had something awesome to say. I had something dope and stuff.
Something awesome about the miscellaneous category of the Nobel Peace Prize.
About the miscellaneous category of the Nobel Peace Prize. I don't remember. I actually just don't.
They would have given it to Psy, man. They would have been like World Uniting Music, 2012. Psy gets the Nobel Peace Prize.
I do think like, I was gonna say it's like an honorary college degree. Like colleges give out honorary degrees to just people who have done stuff.
Yeah, LeBron has like a bunch of honorary degrees.
Yeah,
which is funny because
I don't know.
He plays basketball.
Oh. And a guy who plays basketball can't have a degree.
No, it's just like your whole career is based on like athleticism, which I feel like is sort of usually in contrast to academics. That's like a very different career pathway of life. Like I feel like you give more early on in your life because you get really hurt, like you got to play your sport, and you retire a little bit earlier too. So like you don't have the longevity of like career security that a lot of people do, but you get paid way more money.
But maybe what you're not realizing is that actually academics and athleticism go hand in hand, because why do colleges give out scholarships for you to be good at football?
So that you can play on their team, because they're not going to have you play on the team if you don't go to their school.
Well, they could do that.
But they don't.
Nothing's stopping them from doing that.
I think that there's got to be a rule about that, because otherwise they would just do that.
Why? What's the consequence, though?
I mean, I don't know.
Like, why can't the school just be like, we're going to hire Shohei Ohtani to be on our baseball team?
That's a great question. I don't know.
Like, shouldn't you
optimally
do that if you're like a guy whose job
that's what I'm saying. So, like, ideally, in my mind, it makes sense that there is some sort of rule that prevents people from doing that, because otherwise LeBron would still be on the Ohio State basketball team. And he's not.
I don't know if he would be on the Ohio State basketball team. I don't know if they got bread like that.
I can assure you that they do.
You think so?
They only got... No, they don't. Actually.
I think if the ecosystem was different and colleges were allowed... I think we're seeing offers from like Harvard... Or LeBron is seeing offers from like Harvard and Yale.
Oh, I mean, Ohio State has bread for their athletics, for sure. Yeah, and I'm not just saying that because I went there, but like their annual budget is like $8 billion, and I'm not joking.
I know, but like I think we're underestimating the big business of like the Ivy League institutions, you know?
Yeah.
I think they have like lawyers and business people who can like make stuff happen. Whereas Ohio State is like mostly
we don't have that.
Sort of a cabal of people who spend way too much money on beer.
Yeah. Really pretty on the nose. We're a big agriculture school.
Yeah.
Y'all are a lot of farmers.
Y'all don't fucking beat around the bush when it comes to like soybean farming and stuff.
Damn right. Damn right.
So soybeans are important. They give the world their soy. You need a lot of it.
We need more soy boys.
Ohio State makes all the soy boys. That's where they all come from.
It's true. They make them in their labs.
They have labs. And you infuse the soybeans into the boys. And then you put them out into the world, and the boys make meaningful differences.
Yeah, and that's how they made Peabody and Sherman, because that guy's body got turned into peas.
And that's how honorary degrees are delivered. They send a soy boy to your house, and they say, "Congratulations, you now have a degree in economics."
I did think it was so cool though, because not cool, but I did think it was interesting during like our graduation speech, which obviously everyone has to have one. The guy who was giving our speech was like super cool and actually seemed really accomplished and awesome. He was like a 65-year-old black guy who was in the military, which I was like, first of all, respect, because that usually didn't happen.
You think he's killed a guy?
Space. Probably, yeah.
That's dope.
He's been to space, which is pretty cool. And then Ohio State was like, we'd like to award you an honorary doctorate, like during, our speech. And I was like, can you guys like stop glazing each other for like 5 seconds?
That is annoying, man.
The man's like been to space. Can we, like he's done enough. Like, I mean, he was cool and he was awesome, but like,
what did he go to space for? He just like, he was on the one with Katy Perry or whatever. It's like a celebrity.
No, I don't think so. No, he wasn't like a celebrity. He was in the Navy or not in the Navy. He was in, I think, the Air Force, and then he worked in like aeronautics for a really long time. And like he was an astronaut, which is why he went to space. He's a really cool guy.
I didn't go
he's
to.
Done enough.
I don't know who spoke at our commencement because I didn't go because I didn't give a shit. I don't think it was anyone important because otherwise I would have heard about it.
Right.
But I think it's funny. Like the most annoying thing to me would be if I went to a school and the commencement speaker was like Mark Rober.
Yeah.
And he turned the commencement speech into a YouTube video. I'd be so fucking pissed at that shit.
Yeah, that would be awful.
Not that like the commencement like matters or whatever.
No, like you've already finished your degree, but it's like I'm gonna be honest, I don't really think that it's like it wasn't super important to me, but I think like for my family,
it is like a moment.
Like my mom
right?
was like, like your family wants to see that, your friends want to see it. Like, I mean, you should be proud. And so for someone to just like turn that day into like, hey guys, check out this super cool publicity stunt that I'm doing right now.
Yeah, Mark Rober did the thing where he turned his cap into a drone that flew away.
Right.
Which is just like, shut up, man. Like you already
you already
make videos where you're like, I have a secret entrance in my office. You know what I mean? You don't need this also.
And then he opens a floor in the ground and he goes into like the Pentagon.
Yeah, can't you just like say some shit about like learning is cool or whatever and we should like strive to be good people? We don't need you to do some fucking...
There are some times where you got to be serious.
Stupid. And I would just hate for it to be like a YouTube video that has like 40 million views. And then like...
And everyone would be like, I love this.
And then it's like my graduation commencement is like this weird like reality TV thing that like children know about. You know what I mean?
Right. It's like, oh my God, did you see Mark Rober spoke at RIT's graduation? It's like, all right, man, I was there too. Nobody cares about that.
Nobody gave a shit about fucking, I've one teacher who was like, he was like around and he like installed the first like Wi-Fi system. That's guy's there crazy. And no one gives a shit about that guy, but he's dope as fuck. He's low-key annoying, but
like it's cool that he did that.
It's cool that he did that.
You can do cool things and still be annoying.
Yeah. That would suck. Fuck Mark Rober, bro. I don't fuck with that guy.
I will say, or at least I think I'm thinking of the right guy of Mark Rober. But one of my favorite creators online, his name is Derailed 3D. Yeah, okay, this is the guy I'm thinking of. He's like an engineer and he does a bunch of like 3D printing shit. Like he made, if you know Jujutsu Kaisen, he made like the prison realm and he made like a photorealistic like cube that has these eyes in it that like move. He just does like a bunch of like cool like engineering art stuff.
Yeah.
And he made a 1-to-1 replica of Mark Rober's face and like made it like really detailed and like put like robotic like like oscillating eyes like behind the sockets and stuff. And then he mailed it to him. And Mark Rober like made a video about it and was like, "This is freaky as hell."
Yeah.
And he was like mad about it. And I was like, "Dude, this is awesome. I love this so much."
I wonder if that was after or before the thing where Ryan Trahan got a big coin that had Mr. Beast's face on it, and he's like, "I'm giving Mr. Beast this penny with his face on it."
Probably, I have no idea. Maybe it was probably after.
Like,
do you
there's
know when
this
that
weird
was?
meta of like just
Giving stuff to
annoying
people
a
who are more
famous guy
than you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so lame.
But you have to be like famous enough to contact them and be like, you already have to sort of have your foot in the door a little bit, because otherwise they're gonna be like, "Who the fuck is this person and why are they sending me a thing?"
Sure. I mean, there's like always the classic bit of like, sometimes you go into the YouTuber comments and you find fucking a guy who's like, day 178 of asking Video Game Donkey to play Bookworm Adventures Deluxe.
Right, but like that guy's never gonna get any recognition in his life for anything.
That's not true. His name is
different
Beef
if-
Stew, and he's on OnlyFans.
Oh, really?
Or I think it's a she now. I don't remember.
Good for her or them.
Them. I don't know. Yeah.
Can't go wrong with them.
But Donkey did make that video, so
And he did. That's true.
like
But
the
no, I mean
formula
more of,
works,
like-
you know.
I mean more of like trying to use it as like a tactic to grow your own platform. Like, if you then made a video where it was like, "I got Donkey to play Bookworm Adventures 2 because it's my favorite game of all time and here's why."
Yeah.
Like, I think that would make more sense. Like, he just made a copy of Mark Rober's face to send it to him to be like, "Guys, this is the kind of content I make, and if you think this is funny, you should check out my channel."
Yeah. But then there's Ryan Trahan doing it, who already has like 20 million subscribers or whatever. So it's like,
Yeah.
what are you doing?
I don't really know how I feel about Ryan Trahan, because I actually used to watch his videos and like I liked them, and I think he's like a funny enough guy. And he doesn't seem like the worst human being I've ever seen. But you know, like,
what?
well, that's
What's
like kind
wrong
of
with
becoming
him?
a qualification. I mean, nothing. I just like, he falls into like that same YouTuber, like, I did this challenge. And like, if you watch the video, it's probably like relatively interesting. But I feel like everyone else that I know who does that type of stuff is just like not the greatest person.
Sure. I don't know. I think
So it's hard for me to now discern, because I'm like, well, you're making the same type of content. Like, why are you different?
I just don't think his content is very interesting. All of his videos are like, I stayed at a bad hotel. And it's like, okay.
And then
like
I stayed at a good one. And the good one, believe it or not, a little bit better. And it's like, yeah, man. Like, I think people just like people just
it's
like
the
seeing what
lamest shit of all
things
time. And all of his
are. I mean, that's why.
I mean, the big thing for me is like, you got to be like entertaining. Like, if your idea is like whatever, I think that's fine. If you can like make it entertaining, I think like some of the best, entertainers are people who are able to be comedians in any situation.
Right. Totally.
I think that's why like Jackass works, because like
Yes.
it'd be weird if they just like they had scorpions like chop their balls or whatever, and then they were just
Right,
like
it would
normal
be kinda
guys
odd.
who were like,
They're like,
damn,
"Oh my God,
this
ow!"
sucks.
This hurts so bad.
But it's good that
It's like,
like,
well, yeah,
Steve-O
everyone
and
knew
like
that.
Johnny Knoxville are like really funny people, and
Right.
but like Ryan Trahan is just sort of like he goes to a bad hotel and he's like, so I'm in the room and it's a little stinky. Like, all of his comedy is like, I hope there's no bed bugs on my bed sheets.
And then he gets in, and then like he has 1,000 plastic cockroaches come out of the like the pillowcase. It's like, all right, guys, I was just kidding. It's not really that bad.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, cool.
And it's just kind of whatever town to me.
I mean, I will say, I think, especially like with the state that the world is in right now, like people just like looking at things that they would never be able to afford because we think it's interesting.
Yeah. I never understood that. Like, there's the Mr. Beast video
I
about
don't
like,
either.
I rented out a cruise ship.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, no one, like your average person is not gonna, go on a cruise ship, but like I'm sure maybe they're curious to see what it's like.
But
So
then
they're
they,
like, "Oh,
they
I'm gonna
don't
watch
do anything on
Jimmy
the cruise
Beast."
ship. The video is always
No, they just
like,
walk around.
they just like go to the pool and they're like, this cruise ship has a pool. You know?
Which they all do.
Which you could have just gone to a pool. It doesn't really change anything that it's like on a cruise ship. I guess it's interesting, but like
it obviously doesn't actually change. But like I think we just have an interest in being like, oh, this is a thing that I'll never be able to do, but I want to know like what it's like.
It makes it ever more clear that like the audience for this stuff is just like kids who haven't had ideas.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like
well, they're the only people that would have the time to spend that much time on YouTube anyway. That's, you know.
I guess so. Yeah. But it's also that's just like where the goddamn I guess that's what you're saying. Like that's they have all the time so they can generate all the ad dollars. So you make all the videos for the kids.
That's where Spider-Man and Elsa comes in, man. I haven't seen one of those in forever.
I never understood that shit.
It was. Like I think it was literally just applying, like trying to, you know, cater to like really, really young kids, and it was like, oh, I know Spider-Man and I know Elsa.
Yeah, I guess it is just like it's like when Fortnite teams up with Star Wars. It's like the two coolest things of all time, but instead of you being 13, you're like 9.
Right.
So you're like, you know, Elsa, who's like a beautiful woman, and then Spider-Man, who's cool
like the coolest guy of all time.
It's like what every guy wants to be is Spider-Man.
Yep.
But the Spider-Man Elsa thing, it's always like a sexual sort of thing.
Really?
In a way. Yeah.
I feel like I do remember them like having a lot of like relationships between Spider-Man and Elsa. Like there are a lot of those videos.
That's what I'm saying.
I don't know, man. That's like way before my era of being a child.
Yeah.
Or way after my era of being a child.
It doesn't make, I don't know. That world is weird for sure. What did we learn today?
We learned that Spider-Man and Elsa are in love.
They're in love and they love each other, and we should do the things that they do if we want.
We've learned that if you rehearse beforehand, you might be the next like fucking Vanilla Ice, so that could be cool.
Mm-hmm.
Because that was bars today. We learned
we're like Easy
we're Easy E. I didn't want to say that about you. That was the first person I thought of, though.
Well, yeah.
We learned about the marbled crayfish and how they're all genetically the same, which is like kind of cool because we're all genetically different. That's kind of interesting.
We learned about megachurches and how their business works.
I actually think that I would really like to go if we can find one.
Dude, I'm saying like we should actually go. I found out recently that there's like a ginormous megachurch close to me. I meant to say this earlier, but I forgot.
Really?
There's like a megachurch. Average attendance is like 4,000 people, and it's like 5 miles down the road from where I live. I've never heard of it before.
That's crazy.
But we should go.
Well, we got to go.
Let's go right now.
I can't go right now. I got to go hang out with my grandma tomorrow.
No, I was saying it as like a way to stop the episode. Like we should go.